My name is Nana May, and this happened to me. The bank message said, account access removed. That's when I knew something was wrong. I was standing in my kitchen, holding a cup of tea that had already gone cold. My phone vibrated once, then again. I thought it was one of those useless promotions or a family group chat meme. I almost ignored it. I wish I had. I stared at the screen. Read it again. Then again. Access removed. My hand started shaking. Not because of the money. Not yet. But because my husband was still asleep upstairs and I had no idea who would have the power to remove me from my own account. I whispered, this must be a mistake. But something inside me already knew. The house felt too quiet. Too still. Like it was holding its breath. I walked slowly up the stairs. Each step felt heavier than the last. My heart was pounding, but my face stayed calm. I had learned long ago. Silence keeps the peace. He was sitting on the edge of the bed, tying his shoes. He didn't look at me. Did you change the bank access? I asked softly. He paused. Not long. Just long enough. Then he said, why are you asking? My stomach dropped. Because I just got a message, I whispered. It says I no longer have access. He exhaled like I had annoyed him. I'll fix it later, he said. Later. That word echoed inside my chest. I wanted to ask more. I wanted to scream. But I didn't. I nodded. I always nodded. I went back downstairs and opened the family group chat. I don't know why. Maybe I just needed to feel included. Maybe I needed proof that I still mattered. That's when I saw it. Photos, videos, smiling faces, champagne glasses, white roses, my son in a tuxedo, my daughter-in-law in a wedding dress, married, yesterday. My phone slipped from my hand and hit the table with a loud crack. I covered my mouth. No one told me. Not my son. Not my husband. Not even her. I was the only one who didn't know. My chest felt tight. My ears started ringing. I typed slowly in the chat. Congratulations. When did this happen? The message was read. No one replied. Seconds passed. Then minutes. Finally, my son wrote, we'll talk later, Mom. Later. Again that word. I felt something break inside me. I wasn't angry yet. I was invisible. I whispered to myself, after everything I sacrificed. I remembered holding him when he was sick, selling my jewelry to pay his school fees, standing between him and every storm. When did I stop mattering? That night, we sat at the dinner table. Just me and my husband. He scrolled on his phone. Didn't look at me. Didn't ask if I was okay. Finally, he said it. Without realizing I was listening. He was on a voice call. Laughing. Then I heard the words that shattered everything. That fat woman disgusts me. I froze. My chest felt like it had been stabbed. He didn't know I was behind him. He kept talking. She's useless now. Just in the way. I felt dizzy. Was he talking about me? My husband. The man I built my life around. The man I trusted. I wanted to confront him. But I didn't. I stayed quiet to keep the peace. That night, I cried silently into my pillow. The next morning, my card didn't work at the grocery store. The cashier looked at me with pity. I'm sorry, ma'am. It's declined. People were waiting behind me, watching, judging, humiliated. I walked out without buying anything. In the parking lot, my phone buzzed again. A message from an unknown number. You should stop asking questions. My hands trembled. Who was this? What had I stepped into? I looked up at the sky and whispered. Why was I the last to know? And that's when I realized this wasn't just about a wedding. This was about removing me. From the family. From the house. From my own life. But I didn't know yet that someone had already signed papers in my name. And tomorrow, I would lose more than just money. My name is Nana May, and this happened to me. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw the word decline flashing like a warning sign inside my skull. My ears still rang from the way the cashier had looked at me. Half pity, half judgment. Like I was already something broken. The house felt different now. Not warm. Not safe. Just borrowed. I lay there staring at the ceiling fan, listening to my husband breathe beside me. Slow. Peaceful. As if nothing had changed. As if he hadn't said those words. That fat woman disgusts me. I whispered it again in my mind. I didn't cry anymore. I just felt empty. At 3:14 a.m., my phone vibrated. I flinched like I'd been shocked. A WhatsApp voice note. From my daughter-in-law. I stared at her name. My finger hovered over the screen. I almost didn't open it. Almost. Her voice was soft. Controlled. Sweet. The way women speak when they want something. Auntie, please don't take everything the wrong way. You know families change. We just need some space right now. Don't make this complicated. Space. That word cut deeper than any insult. I replied in text because my voice wouldn't come out. Why wasn't I told about the wedding? She saw the message. Didn't reply. Silence again. That silence felt louder than shouting. I got out of bed quietly and walked into the living room. I needed air. I needed to breathe. That's when I noticed something strange. The smart doorbell light was blinking. Blue. Active. But no one had come or gone. I opened the app on my phone. My heart started racing. There were recorded clips. Dozens. From earlier that day. From yesterday. From days I thought I was alone. I tapped one. The screen showed my front door. Then my son, holding a key. Beside him, his wife. They walked in. Not cautiously. Not nervously. Like they owned the place. I whispered, "What are you doing here?" They laughed on the video. She said, "This is our house now." My chest tightened. Another clip. They were in my kitchen. My kitchen. She opened my cabinets. Moved my dishes. Threw out my spices. "I don't like her cooking," she said. "It smells old." He laughed. My son. The boy I raised. He laughed. I sank onto the couch, clutching my phone. Tears streamed down my face. I wanted to scream, but I didn't. I stayed quiet, to keep the peace. Later that morning, my husband came downstairs. He avoided my eyes. "Did you eat?" he asked. I shook my head. "I'll go out," he said. "Be back later." Later. Always later. As soon as he left, I called the bank. After 40 minutes on hold, a woman finally answered. She sounded young. Professional. "Your husband submitted a digital authorization to remove your access," she said. I felt my knees go weak. "I didn't agree," I whispered. "I'm sorry, ma'am," she said. "It was legally verified." Verified. Without me. I hung up and stared at the wall. I remembered every night I stayed up worrying about bills. Every meal I skipped so my son could eat. Was this my reward? At noon, my son arrived. He didn't knock. He walked in like the door was already his. "We need to talk," he said. I looked at him. Really looked. When did his eyes become so cold? "You married," I said softly. He sighed. "You're making this about you." I laughed. Not because it was funny. Because it hurt too much. "I just wanted to be there," I said. "I'm your mother." He looked away. "It just happened." Those words again. I whispered, "Don't make a scene." He replied, "You already are." That's when I realized I was the scene. That evening, I got a message from a hospital number. Emergency contact updated. My name wasn't there. I wasn't listed as family anymore. My heart stopped. What else had they changed? I checked my email. Property documents. My signature. But I never signed. My name was there. But my hand hadn't written it. I felt sick. Who was doing this? And how far would they go? I stared at the door. Waiting. Because I knew. This was only the beginning. My name is Nana May, and this happened to me. I thought the worst pain was finding out about the wedding. I was wrong. The worst pain is realizing that people you love are quietly rewriting your life while you are still breathing. I stood in the living room with my phone in my hand, staring at those hospital messages again and again. Emergency contact updated. Next of kin changed. My name had vanished, like I never existed. I whispered, "After everything I sacrificed." My voice cracked. I felt smaller than ever. I sat on the sofa, hugging my knees like a frightened child, staring at the walls of the house I had lived in for 32 years. Every corner held a memory. My son's first steps, birthday cakes, late-night talks. And now, I felt like a guest. I stayed there for a long time. Too long. Until the front door opened. They walked in together, my son and his wife, laughing, talking about curtains, as if I were invisible. I stood up slowly. You were here yesterday, I said. They froze. She looked at him. He looked away. We just needed to check something, he muttered. I held up my phone. The doorbell recorded you. Silence. She crossed her arms. So what? It's our house too now. My heart pounded. Our house. I repeated softly. He sighed. Dad said it's fine. That's when the anger rose. Not loud. Not wild. Just burning. You changed my bank access, I said. You removed me from the hospital forms. You forged my signature. She smiled. Not kindly. You should stop asking questions. The same words from the unknown message. It was her. My son whispered, we're just trying to help you. Help. I laughed bitterly. By erasing me? She leaned closer. You're old. You forget things. We're protecting you. I wanted to scream, but I didn't. I stayed quiet. That night, I cried until I couldn't anymore. The next morning, a lawyer called. You signed a digital will, he said. My breath stopped. I didn't, I whispered. But he said the documents were valid. I hung up and stared at my hands. They were shaking. How much of my life had they stolen already? And what would they take next? I felt something shift inside me. Not fear. Not sadness. Clarity. I whispered, I will not disappear. And that's when I decided I would find the truth, even if it destroyed them, even if it destroyed me, because I needed to know who really wanted me gone. My name is Nana May, and this happened to me. I thought I had seen the worst. I thought the wedding, the bank, the hospital forms, that was the peak of betrayal. But I was wrong. It started with a WhatsApp ping. I was sitting at the dining table, staring at the blank plate in front of me. Breakfast had lost all meaning. I didn't care about food anymore. My phone buzzed a group message. Not my family group. A new one. I didn't recognize the number. Curious, I opened it. A video. My son. My daughter-in-law. Laughing. Standing in my living room. The clip was recent. They were rearranging my furniture. My china. My photo frames. My life. I stared. My mouth went dry. A voice note followed. Her voice. Calm. Polished. Calculated. Did you see how she's reacting? I froze. I was watching myself being erased. My own home becoming their playground. And the most terrifying part? They didn't care I was watching. They wanted me to. I sent a message. Why are you doing this? Read. Delivered. Nothing. My stomach twisted. I could feel my heart racing. Then my phone buzzed again. Another voice note. My son's voice this time. Mom, calm down. Don't make a scene. You're too emotional. Too emotional. The words hit harder than any slap. I whispered to myself, after everything I sacrificed, everything I had done for them, every late night, every sleepless worry, every penny spent, every word of advice, every bit of love I had poured into raising him, they dismissed it as emotion, weakness, an inconvenience. I wanted to call my husband, but I knew better. He was already siding silently with them. Or maybe he was scared of them. Or maybe I didn't want to think about that yet. I opened the smart doorbell app again. More footage. More proof. They were having dinner at my kitchen table. My cutlery. My plates. My house. My kitchen. I could hear them talking in the video. Should we throw the old stuff out? Yes. She won't need it anymore. She's old. Let her stay quiet. Old. Quiet. Invisible. That's when I realized I wasn't just excluded. I was being erased. Piece by piece. Step by step. And no one, not my husband, not my son, was stopping them. I felt humiliated. Not the fake kind you can laugh off. The deep, soul-crushing kind. The kind where you realize your place in your own family, in your own home, has been replaced. I didn't know where to start. I didn't know what to do. My mind was spinning, trying to catch up to the betrayal unfolding in front of me. Then my phone buzzed again. A text from an unknown number. You should leave, before it gets worse. I sank into the chair. Leave? My own home? But the words weren't threatening. They were a warning. A quiet whisper from someone who knew. Someone outside the chaos. I felt rage rising. My hands clenched. No, I would not leave. Not yet. I needed to know. and I needed proof. So I started planning. I checked every app on my phone. Bank, doorbell, emails, property records, digital wills, hospital forms. Everything had been touched, manipulated, controlled. I realized for the first time just how much power they had taken. I whispered to myself, when did I stop mattering? And then the phone rang. It was my son. Mom, he said. Calm, sweet, polished, dangerous. I think you should stay out of this. I stared at the screen. His voice was the same, but the tone, it was cold, distant, like he wasn't my child anymore. I won't, I said. I'm not angry. I'm hurt, I said. Silence on the other side. Then, you should just leave it, Nana. Don't ruin things for everyone. Leave it. I whispered. I'm not asking for permission. I want the truth. Who signed my name on the documents? Who changed the hospital forms? Who removed my bank access? He didn't answer. Instead, he hung up. I sat in silence. My chest ached. My hand shook. My heart burned with humiliation, anger, and an ache I couldn't name. And that's when I saw the next message. From the same unknown number as before. Check the property documents. Look closer. Not everything is where it seems. I opened my laptop. My hands were trembling so badly I could barely type. I pulled up the title deeds, the ownership papers, every single property I had ever owned. And then I saw it. One document. Hidden. My signature. Forged. My house partially sold. Partially signed over. And the worst part? Someone had attached a clause that gave my son and his wife control if I tried to challenge it. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. I whispered I was erased while I was still alive. I closed the laptop. My head fell into my hands. How could this happen? How could they, my own son, betray me so completely? I wanted to scream, but I didn't, because I knew if I screamed now it wouldn't matter. They had already rewritten reality, and I had no idea who was on my side anymore. But I wasn't done. Not yet. I stood up. I looked at the living room. The same room where my son had once played with his toys, where I had poured my heart and soul into creating a home for him. Now it was a battlefield, and I was going to fight back, because I needed to know who had signed the documents in my name, who had changed the hospital forms, who had removed me from my life, and most importantly, why they thought they could erase me and get away with it. My name is Nana May, and this happened to me. I thought I had seen the worst. I thought the wedding, the bank, the hospital forms, that was the peak of betrayal. But I was wrong. It started with a WhatsApp ping. I was sitting at the dining table, staring at the blank plate in front of me. Breakfast had lost all meaning. I didn't care about food anymore. My phone buzzed a group message. Not my family group. A new one. I didn't recognize the number. Curious, I opened it. A video. My son. My daughter-in-law. Laughing. Standing in my living room. The clip was recent. They were rearranging my furniture. My china. My photo frames. My life. I stared. My mouth went dry. A voice note followed. Her voice. Calm. Polished. Calculated. Did you see how she's reacting? I froze. I was watching myself being erased. My own home becoming their playground. And the most terrifying part? They didn't care I was watching. They wanted me too. I sent a message. Why are you doing this? Read. Delivered. Nothing. My stomach twisted. I could feel my heart racing. Then my phone buzzed again. Another voice note. My son's voice this time. Mom, calm down. Don't make a scene. You're too emotional. Too emotional. The words hit harder than any slap. I whispered to myself, after everything I sacrificed, everything I had done for them, every late night, every sleepless worry, every penny spent, every word of advice, every bit of love I had poured into raising him, they dismissed it as emotion, weakness, and inconvenience. I wanted to call my husband, but I knew better. He was already siding silently with them. Or maybe he was scared of them. Or maybe... I didn't want to think about that yet. I opened the smart doorbell app again. More footage. More proof. They were having dinner at my kitchen table. My cutlery. My plates. My house. My kitchen. I could hear them talking in the video. Should we throw the old stuff out? Yes. She won't need it anymore. She's old. Let her stay quiet. Old. Quiet. Invisible. That's when I realized I wasn't just excluded. I was being erased. Piece by piece. Step by step. And no one, not my husband, not my son, was stopping them. I felt humiliated. Not the fake kind you can laugh off. The deep, soul-crushing kind. The kind where you realize your place in your own family, in your own home, has been replaced. I didn't know where to start. I didn't know what to do. My mind was spinning, trying to catch up to the betrayal unfolding in front of me. Then my phone buzzed again. A text from an unknown number. You should leave. Before it gets worse. I sank into the chair. Leave? My own home? But the words weren't threatening. They were a warning. A quiet whisper from someone who knew. Someone outside the chaos. I felt rage rising. My hands clenched. No, I would not leave. Not yet. I needed to know. And I needed proof. So I started planning. I checked every app on my phone. Bank. Doorbell. Emails. Property records. Digital wills. Hospital forms. Everything had been touched. Manipulated. Controlled. I realized for the first time just how much power they had taken. I whispered to myself, when did I stop mattering? And then the phone rang. It was my son. Mom, he said. Calm. Sweet. Polished. Dangerous. I think you should stay out of this. I stared at the screen. His voice was the same, but the tone, it was cold. Distant. Like he wasn't my child anymore. I won't, I said. I'm not angry. I'm hurt, I said. Silence on the other side. Then, you should just leave it, Nana. Don't ruin things for everyone. Leave it. I whispered. I'm not asking for permission. I want the truth. Who signed my name on the documents? Who changed the hospital forms? Who removed my bank access? He didn't answer. Instead, he hung up. I sat in silence. My chest ached. My hand shook. My heart burned with humiliation, anger, and an ache I couldn't name. And that's when I saw the next message. From the same unknown number as before. Check the property documents. Look closer. Not everything is where it seems. I opened my laptop. My hands were trembling so badly I could barely type. I pulled up the title deeds, the ownership papers, every single property I had ever owned. And then I saw it. One document. Hidden. My signature. Forged. My house partially sold. Partially signed over. And the worst part? Someone had attached a clause that gave my son and his wife control if I tried to challenge it. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. I whispered, I was erased while I was still alive. I closed the laptop. My head fell into my hands. How could this happen? How could they, my own son, betray me so completely? I wanted to scream, but I didn't, because I knew if I screamed now it wouldn't matter. They had already rewritten reality, and I had no idea who was on my side anymore. But I wasn't done. Not yet. I stood up. I looked at the living room, the same room where my son had once played with his toys, where I had poured my heart and soul into creating a home for him. Now it was a battlefield, and I was going to fight back, because I needed to know who had signed the documents in my name, who had changed the hospital forms, who had removed me from my life, and most importantly, why they thought they could erase me and get away with it. My name is Nana May, and this happened to me. I woke that morning with a strange mixture of fear and determination. Fear, because I didn't know how deep this betrayal went. Determination, because I knew I had finally found the proof that could stop them. The court messages, the smart doorbell footage, the WhatsApp voice notes, the forged property documents, they weren't just evidence. They were ammunition. I sat at the dining table with my laptop open, sipping weak tea I didn't really taste. Every notification made my heart skip a beat. But today was different. Today, I wasn't just reacting. Today, I was planning my next move. First, the documents. I went through every single piece of paper. Digital wills, property deeds, bank authorizations, hospital forms. Each one had a timestamp, a digital footprint. Most of them pointed to my son's phone. Some led to emails I hadn't even seen before. And then, buried in a court submission, I found it. A draft petition signed in my name that clearly had been forged. Not only that, but the timestamp suggested it was submitted while I was asleep. I whispered to myself, so this is how far they would go. Then I looked at my son and daughter-in-law on the smart doorbell footage, laughing in my kitchen, rearranging my furniture, smiling as if I weren't even there. I clenched my jaw. I wasn't going to let them do this. I started making a plan. Step 1, legal leverage. Step 2, emotional leverage. Step 3, psychological leverage. By the end of the day, I had a folder on my laptop labeled Nana, May Not Forgotten. Every photo, every video, every voice note, every bank alert compiled and ready. I picked up the phone. My retired lawyer answered immediately. Nana May, are you okay? He asked. I'm fine, I said softly. I need your help. And we need to move fast. My son, he's trying to erase me from everything. My house, my bank accounts, even hospital access. They've forged documents. I need to stop them. He was silent for a moment. Then we can fight this. We have enough for an injunction. If we move today, you can freeze any transfers, challenge any signatures, and keep control until the court rules. I felt a flicker of hope. And with hope came the first taste of power. After hanging up, I turned my attention to my husband. He was in the living room, scrolling on his phone. He didn't notice me watching. I took a deep breath. I knew I had to confront him carefully. Can we talk? I said softly. He looked up, startled. I know what's happening, I continued. I have proof. Everything. He laughed nervously. Nana, you're overreacting. I'm sure it's a misunderstanding. I held his gaze. Do you want me to show you the messages, the footage, the forged documents? Or do you want to admit that you've let them erase me? He flinched. That was the first crack I'd seen. I didn't let up. After everything I've done for this family, you would let them take my life away? He opened his mouth to speak, then closed it. I knew then that my presence was shifting something, not just within him, within them, because soon the others would see the power I held. I spent the rest of the morning organizing everything. Then, cautiously, I started sending selective clips and screenshots to a trusted family friend, someone neutral, someone who had known me since my son was a boy. By noon, whispers were starting, and those whispers would reach the wrong ears. I waited until afternoon. Then I sent my first digital warning to my son and daughter-in-law. I know what you've done. Stop, or the court will hear everything. No reply. I expected that. Silence is often the first reaction of someone who knows they're caught. By evening, my lawyer called again. The injunction is ready. We can file tonight. It will freeze all accounts, all property transfers. You will regain control immediately. I smiled softly, a small, victorious smile. Then I thought about the emotional leverage. I remembered the family group chats, the WhatsApp threads where they gossiped and excluded me. I decided to forward selective messages, carefully edited, to neutral family members. Just enough to raise eyebrows, just enough to make them question loyalty, just enough to make my absence noticed. And the psychological leverage? That came next. I started live streaming small parts of my day. Not the whole house. Just enough. My empty kitchen, my untouched property, my bank notifications, all visible to them through family-only social media circles. They saw me calm, composed, and silently working. They saw that I was still in control of my mind, even if they thought they controlled my life. That night, my husband tried to intervene. Nana, don't escalate this, he whispered. I turned slowly. My voice was quiet but steady. Escalate? I'm only reclaiming what's mine. What is legally, morally, and emotionally mine. You don't get to dictate when I defend myself. He stared at me, confused, afraid. That's when I knew the power shift had begun. The next morning, the first real shock came. My son's wife called. Her tone was carefully polite. Too polite. Nana, can we meet? We just want to talk, she said. I smiled, a small, dangerous smile. Of course, I replied softly. But let's include the lawyer. It seems we have a lot to discuss. She hesitated, then hung up. I sat down, my hands trembling slightly, but this time not from fear, from excitement. because I knew the next move would be theirs. And whatever they did, I was ready. I felt vindicated, but also wary. This wasn't just about property or money anymore. This was about family, about control, about respect. And I had learned something crucial. Silence had been my weapon before. But now, action would be my sword. I spent hours preparing. Notes, evidence, screenshots. Every voice note cataloged. Every doorbell clip analyzed. Every digital will timestamped. By evening, I was ready to strike. The first message I sent was subtle but precise. You have 24 hours to respond. Stop erasing me. Then, I filed the injunction with my lawyer. Within minutes, I received confirmation. All bank accounts frozen, property transfers halted, hospital access restored. I leaned back in my chair, exhausted, but satisfied. This was the first real power reversal. And tomorrow they would see it. I whispered to myself, almost smiling through tears. I am not invisible. I am not forgotten. And I will not be erased. But deep down, I also knew something terrifying. The family I thought I knew, my son, my daughter-in-law, even my husband, would never forgive this. And this battle had only just begun. My name is Nana May, and this happened to me. I had spent days gathering proof. Every WhatsApp voice note, every smart doorbell clip, every forged document was cataloged. Every time my son or his wife tried to erase me, I made sure I knew exactly what they had done, and I was ready. But I needed more than proof. I needed impact. I needed them to feel the weight of their betrayal. That morning, I decided to live stream. Not on a public platform. No, I chose the family-only social group where they had spread rumors, laughed at me, excluded me. I wanted them to watch. I wanted them to panic. I set up my phone in the living room, framing the camera carefully. Nothing personal. Just me, calm, composed, holding a tablet with the court injunction visible. I took a deep breath. Then I went live. The first few seconds were quiet. Too quiet. Then notifications started popping. My son, his wife, my husband, watching, listening. I smiled softly. Hello, I said, voice steady. I thought you should see this. The court has frozen all accounts and property transfers. Every document you forged, every signature you faked. It is invalid. And as of now, I control my life again. Silence on their end. I continued. You thought you could erase me, remove me, humiliate me. But I have evidence. Everything you've done. Every message. Every clip. Every action. And now the truth is visible. I held up a voice note from my daughter-in-law. Her sweet, polite tone saying, stop. Don't make this complicated. And here's a video from yesterday, I said, switching the clip. My own living room, my kitchen, my house, and yet they pretend it's theirs, laughing at the person who built it. I watched the reactions through the private comments. My son's name appeared, then my daughter-in-law. His words, Nana, turn this off. Her words, this is embarrassing, stop it. Exactly what I wanted. I didn't stop. I whispered, embarrassment is a consequence of betrayal. Then I showed the smart doorbell footage of them walking through my home the day before, opening drawers, touching my belongings, laughing, mocking. The screen filled with notifications, family members asking questions, shocked emojis, messages of concern. My silence became louder than any scream. Then, the clincher. I displayed the digital court petition, highlighted the forged signature, the timestamp, the IP address, every piece of evidence laid bare. I leaned closer to the camera. You thought I wouldn't notice. You thought I would stay quiet. But now, everyone can see what has been happening, and it will be addressed. A voice in the comment section typed, is this true? How could they do this? Another, Nana may stay strong. I felt my power solidifying. This wasn't just about stopping their actions anymore. This was about reclaiming my voice, my authority, my presence. My son tried calling me during the live stream. I ignored it. I knew it would make him more frantic. My daughter-in-law sent a private message. You can't do this. Delete it now. I smiled softly. Too late. By the end of the live stream, I had achieved more than I had hoped. The whispers were spreading beyond the family circle. They couldn't move without being watched, without consequences. After ending the live stream, I sat back, exhausted but exhilarated. Then my husband approached, hesitant, eyes wide. Maybe we should talk, he said softly. I looked at him. Calm, controlled. We will, but you will listen, and you will act. That evening, another shock arrived. A WhatsApp message from an unknown number. You've crossed the line. This isn't just property or money anymore. Be careful. I felt the chill of a threat, but anger flared stronger than fear. I whispered to myself, I am already being careful, but I will not stop. The next morning, the tension in the house was palpable. My son avoided my gaze. His wife barely spoke. My husband seemed conflicted. The air was heavy with unspoken fear. I realized something vital. The balance of power had shifted. No longer was I the passive observer. No longer was I the quiet mother, silenced and erased. I had proven two things. I was aware of every action against me. I had the courage and the evidence to confront them publicly. And now they were panicking. That evening, I reviewed everything again. Court injunction, smart doorbell footage, WhatsApp messages, hospital form changes. Every piece of evidence meticulously labeled. Because tomorrow, the real confrontation would begin. And this time, I would not just defend myself. I would demand answers. I whispered softly to the empty room, my voice firm but quiet. You thought you could erase me, but now the world is watching, and you will answer. Yet deep inside, I also knew something terrifying. My son and his wife weren't going to give up easily. They had already shown their cunning, their ruthlessness. This wasn't just a legal battle. This was emotional, psychological, familial, and I had only just begun. My name is Nana May, and this happened to me. I thought I had uncovered everything. I thought the live stream, the smart doorbell footage, the forged documents, and the court injunction were enough to prove the betrayal of my own family. I was wrong. It began with a subtle alert on my phone, a bank notification I almost missed. A small one easily ignored, but my eyes caught it immediately. Deposit received, $50,000. I frowned. That was unusual. I didn't recognize the sender. I opened my online bank portal and discovered something that made my stomach drop. A secret account. In my name. Controlled by my daughter-in-law. I felt the floor shift beneath me. How long had this been going on? How many things had she quietly stolen from me? My own son had been complicit, signing papers, allowing her access. And I had no idea until now. I called my lawyer immediately. This account, it's fraudulent, I whispered. She has deposited and withdrawn large sums without my consent. We need to freeze it. Now. He paused. Nana, we can. But this is bigger than we thought. This is deliberate financial manipulation. And it could have legal consequences for both your son and his wife. I hung up, my hand shaking. I paced the living room, thinking back to every transaction, every moment I had trusted them. The betrayal was total, absolute. And yet something deep inside me shifted. Anger became focus. Humiliation became strategy. Fear became fuel. I realized, for the first time, that this wasn't just about protecting my home or finances. This was about reclaiming my dignity, my life, my authority as a mother. I sent a careful message to my son. I know about the account. I know about everything. Stop lying to yourself. You are on the wrong side of this family. And you will answer. No reply. Of course not. Silence is the first reaction of those caught. I decided it was time to confront them. Not with shouting, not with tears, but with evidence. With facts. With undeniable proof. I invited my husband to sit down. His face was tense, eyes avoiding mine. I know about the account, I said quietly. And I know you knew. He looked away. Don't speak, I continued. Just listen. I laid out everything. The secret bank account, the forged documents, the altered hospital forms, the WhatsApp voice notes. Every detail, every timestamp, every piece of proof meticulously documented. His hands trembled. Nana, you allowed it, I interrupted softly. You let them erase me. He had no answer. Then came the next revelation. I checked my phone. Another WhatsApp voice note, this time from an unexpected source, a former family friend who had quietly observed the manipulation. Nana, the voice whispered, I've been keeping records for months. They thought you wouldn't notice, but you have a choice now. You can expose them completely, or keep silent and lose everything. I felt a spark of hope. An ally. Someone outside the immediate chaos who could help. I called my lawyer again. We need to subpoena every transaction, every document. And someone trusted outside the family has to help us verify the evidence. He agreed. This will escalate quickly. But with your live stream and now this evidence, you have leverage. Leverage. The word felt powerful. I realized then that my humiliation, my anger, my fear, all of it was transforming into power. By late afternoon, I confronted my daughter-in-law. Calmly, softly. I know about the account, I said, and the documents you forged. You thought you could control me, erase me, humiliate me, but you underestimated me. Her face paled. Her voice trembled. Nana, you don't understand. I understand perfectly, I replied. And now everyone will. I saw my son in the corner, silent, realizing that the quiet mother he had mocked and tried to erase had become unstoppable. Then the most shocking moment. My husband finally spoke, quietly but firmly. We need to fix this, he said, before it goes further. I nodded slowly, my hands trembling with a mixture of relief and anticipation. The next step was clear. The court, the lawyer, the evidence, the witnesses, the truth. By evening, I had organized everything. Every piece of evidence, every video, every message, every bank alert was ready for presentation. I whispered to myself, I am not invisible. I am not forgotten. I am not weak. And no one will ever erase me again. But deep inside, I knew this was only the beginning. The family's panic would grow. Their lies would unravel. And the consequences, they wouldn't know what hit them. Yet I also knew the battle was far from over. Betrayal had layers. And for every secret I uncovered, there were more waiting. Tomorrow, they would see my full strength. And I would finally reclaim my life. My name is Nana May, and this happened to me. I thought I had regained control. The court injunction, the live stream, the secret bank account. I believed I was finally reclaiming my life. But the next revelation hit me harder than any betrayal I had endured before. It started with a ping on my phone. Another WhatsApp notification. I hesitated, feeling a sense of dread I couldn't shake. The message was from the hospital where my husband had been admitted for a minor procedure last month. I opened it and my heart stopped. Consent forms updated. Authorized next of kin. Your son and daughter-in-law. I froze. My breath caught in my throat. I whispered aloud. After everything I sacrificed, they've done this too. I immediately called the hospital administration. The receptionist sounded polite, but confused. Your records show a recent update, she said. The forms were signed digitally by your son, with authorization from the email registered under your account. I felt my chest tighten. I couldn't believe it. They had changed my legal authority over my husband's care, without my knowledge, without my consent. And I had no idea until this notification arrived. I felt a wave of humiliation wash over me. Not the humiliation of being excluded from a party, or a wedding, or a bank account, but the kind that shakes the foundation of trust within a family. My husband's health, my life, my authority, everything had been quietly transferred to them. I called my lawyer immediately. They've updated the hospital forms to remove you as next of kin. This is serious. We need to file an emergency injunction to restore your rights, he said. I exhaled shakily, but my mind raced. Do it, I whispered. I won't let them touch anything else without me knowing. After hanging up, I reviewed the footage from my smart doorbell and the WhatsApp messages I had previously saved. Each clip of them laughing in my house, of my son signing papers, of my daughter-in-law boasting about control. They were pieces of a puzzle I hadn't realized was this vast. Then came the next shock. I accessed my digital will online. My heart skipped a beat. They had tried to manipulate property transfers, quietly. Some documents had clauses that would allow them access, if I challenged them. My home, my finances, my life, it was all being rewritten without my knowledge. I sat on the sofa, my hands trembling. I whispered to myself. I stayed quiet to keep the peace. I stayed quiet to protect the family. And this is what they did. The anger rose like a storm inside me. I wanted to scream, to run, to shake them until they understood the depth of their betrayal. But I didn't. I had learned the power of silence, the power of strategy. Instead, I called my husband. Do you know what they've done? I asked softly. He hesitated. I thought they were helping, he said. Helping. I shook my head. Helping? They've removed me from your hospital forms. They've forged documents, manipulated our finances, and tried to erase me from everything I've built. And you did nothing. His silence was all the answer I needed. Then I knew what I had to do next. I decided to confront them directly, calmly, methodically, but publicly. I gathered all the evidence, the WhatsApp messages, the smart doorbell footage, the forged bank and property documents, the updated hospital forms. I prepared a private live stream again, this time with select family members and neutral observers. I opened the camera, took a deep breath, and began. I know everything, I said. My voice was steady, calm, but firm. Every bank transaction, every forged signature, every updated hospital form, every attempt to erase me from my life. You thought you could do this quietly, behind my back. But the truth will always come out. I held up the documents, showing every forged signature, every timestamp, every manipulated clause. Comments and messages poured in from viewers. Nana May, stay strong. This is unbelievable. How could they do this? We are watching. Do not back down. I switched to the hospital forms. The consent updates were glaringly clear. My authority had been removed, but now everyone could see it. I whispered softly. After everything I sacrificed, after everything I gave, this is how they tried to repay me. But I am not silent anymore. My son's wife called me privately, her voice trembling. Nana, please stop. You're embarrassing yourself. I smiled faintly. Embarrassment is the consequence of betrayal. By the end of the live stream, the balance had shifted even further. My son, his wife, and even my husband were forced to confront the reality. I had regained control, publicly and legally. But I knew the final confrontation was still coming. The layers of deceit ran deep, and for every secret I uncovered, there were more waiting. I whispered softly to the empty room, my voice resolute. You thought you could erase me, but now the truth is visible and the world is watching. And soon you will answer for everything. Yet deep down, I also knew something terrifying. My son and his wife weren't finished. They would fight back, harder than ever. And the next revelation, whatever it was, would shake the family even further. The war was far from over. My name is Nana May, and this happened to me. The night before the final hearing, I sat alone in the living room with all the lights off. I don't know why. Maybe I wanted to feel the house the way it used to feel. Quiet, safe, mine. Or maybe I just needed to sit with everything that had happened, to understand how a woman can give her entire life to a family and still be treated like something disposable. My phone lay face down on the table. For once, I didn't want to look at it. I had fought back. I had exposed them. I had frozen the accounts. I had restored my hospital rights. And yet my chest still felt heavy. Because victory doesn't erase betrayal. It only proves it was real. I thought about my son, the little boy who used to run into my arms after school, the man who now avoided my eyes like I was a stranger. I thought about how many times I stayed quiet to protect him, how many times I swallowed my pain because I believed motherhood meant sacrifice without limits. When did love turn into permission? I whispered into the darkness. Was I wrong to stay silent? The next morning, everything moved fast. Lawyers, calls, messages, paperwork, and then the one call that changed everything. It was from the lawyer handling the property case. His voice was different this time. Careful, heavy. "Nana May," he said, "before today's hearing, there's something you need to know." My heart skipped. "There's another document," he continued. "It wasn't submitted by your son or his wife. It was submitted years ago." "Years?" I whispered. "Yes, a conditional property trust, created shortly after your husband's retirement." I felt dizzy. "A trust?" I asked. "I never signed anything like that." "That's the thing," he said. "You didn't need to. The property was placed under your name, but the controlling authority was delayed. And it activates only under one condition." My throat went dry. "What condition?" There was a pause. "Proof of elder manipulation or financial abuse." The room felt like it was spinning. "You're saying," I began. "I'm saying," he said carefully, "that the moment your son and daughter-in-law tried to remove you, manipulate your assets, or declare you unfit, control legally reverted to you alone. Fully. Permanently." I sat down slowly. I couldn't breathe. All this time there was protection. Hidden. Waiting. "But who created it?" I asked. "Who did this?" Another pause. "Your husband." Silence. Absolute silence. I felt tears spill down my face. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just quiet, uncontrollable drops. My husband. The same man who stayed quiet. The same man who didn't defend me out loud. The same man I thought had failed me completely. "He didn't tell me," I whispered. "He wasn't supposed to," the lawyer said. "The trust was designed to stay dormant unless something like this happened. He believed if your position in the family was ever threatened, the truth would surface on its own." I laughed softly through tears. "So he knew," I said. "He knew this could happen." "Yes," the lawyer replied. "And Nana May, today, the court will acknowledge you as the sole uncontested owner of the house and assets. Your son and his wife will have no legal claim." I closed my eyes. Relief washed over me. But it wasn't joy. It was grief. Because protection doesn't undo betrayal. At the hearing, I didn't speak much. I didn't need to. The evidence spoke for me. The forged signatures. The bank manipulation. The hospital consent abuse. The messages. The footage. And finally the trust. My son sat stiffly, his face pale. My daughter-in-law avoided looking at me entirely. For the first time, they looked small. When the judge ruled in my favor, the room felt still. Not triumphant, just final. Afterwards, in the hallway, my son approached me. "Mom," he said quietly. I looked at him. Really looked. "I didn't raise you like this," I said softly. He swallowed. I thought you wouldn't fight." There it was. The truth. They didn't think I was weak. They thought I was quiet. "I stayed quiet to keep the peace," I said. "Not because I didn't matter." He nodded slowly, tears in his eyes. "I know." But knowing came too late. My daughter-in-law didn't speak to me at all. She didn't need to. Her power was gone. That evening, back at home, my husband sat beside me on the sofa. For a long time, neither of us spoke. Finally, he said, "I should have said more. Earlier." "Yes," I replied. "You should have." He nodded. "But I wanted you to see that even when people try to erase you, your life still leaves proof." I looked at him then, truly looked at him. "I lost something," I said quietly. "I don't know if I'll ever get it back." He reached for my hand. I didn't pull away, but I didn't squeeze back either. Some wounds don't bleed. They just stay. That night, I walked through the house slowly, touching the walls, the door frames, the kitchen counter where I used to cook for everyone. It was still my home, legally, physically, but emotionally something had changed forever. Before going to bed, my phone buzzed one last time. A message from an unknown number. Just one line. "You won this time, but families remember." I stared at the screen. Then I turned the phone face down. I wasn't afraid anymore, because I had learned something important. Silence is not weakness. Patience is not permission. And dignity, once reclaimed, cannot be stolen again. I lay down, staring at the ceiling, my heart calm for the first time in months. Relief mixed with grief. And as I drifted toward sleep, only one thought stayed with me. The house was mine again. but the family I thought I had